All right, so you're just gonna take your knees out nice and wide, bring your big toes together behind you. We're gonna take our first few minutes together, just tuning into our breath. So once you find your breath, just begin to deepen those inhales, and you're going to bring them all the way down into your belly. Your belly is going to round and drop down in between your knees toward the floor. And on that exhale, you're trying to make the length of the exhale match the length of the inhale. Bringing that belly as close to your spine as you can. So you can use your inhales to sit a little bit deeper into your hips. You're working your sits bones down to the tops of your heels if they're not there already. You can take your knees a little bit wider to achieve this if you need to. So I want you to continue to focus on your breath. Ground your forehead to your mat, but lift your nose and begin to draw circles with it. Just massaging the center of your forehead against the floor. And when you're ready, you can lift your forehead. Just walk your hands back toward your body. You're going to be planting your left hand at center. We're reaching up with the right hand, and then I want you to open all the way up, keeping your gaze on your fingertips. Coming into a big twist. And then bring that right hand down. You're going to thread the needle, and then you're coming into resting on your right shoulder and just above your right ear. So if you had to lift your hips to get your ear down to the mat, you can just work on pressing them backward. And just applying some of your body weight to stretch out the outside of that right shoulder. Go ahead and come back up to center. We'll do the same on the other side. You're planting your right hand, reach up and open with the left, keeping the gaze on the fingertips. And then bring your left hand down, lace it under the right, coming into resting on your left shoulder and just above your left ear. And then drop the hips back. And take your time pressing up and coming into your tabletop. So you're going to move your knees about hip width apart, hands about shoulder width apart, and we're just taking a couple rounds of cat and cow. So on your exhale, you're going to be rounding your back, tuck your chin and pelvis under. On your inhale, drop your belly button down, roll your shoulders back, take your chin all the way up. So you're just going to continue to work through a couple of these at your own pace. Really exaggerate those motions as much as you can. And then once you're finished, I just want you to come back to a neutral spine, and we're going to do that same type of stretch along both of our sides. So you're going to be taking your gaze back toward your right pinky toe, sort of creating a a compression along that right side. And then come back through center. Take your gaze over the left shoulder. Go ahead and do one more on each side. And then I want you to try to sort of combine the movements. So you're just going to be really fluid through your spine. It can be side to side movements. It can be up and down. You can roll out your neck, roll out your ankles, roll out your wrists. Anything that feels good to get the cracks and kinks out this morning. And then whenever you're ready, you can curl your toes under. We're going to meet back in our downward dog. And you'll just spend your first few moments here just walking it out, so there's no rush in getting here. Take time releasing the backs of both of your legs. Your ears are going to be right between your biceps. And then we're going to be bringing our breath together. So I'd like you to bring your big toes to touch. You're going to continue to drop the crown of your head. Go ahead and take a big breath in, rise up onto all 10 toes. So we're just shifting the weight forward into the hands, big stretch along the bottoms of the feet, up through the backs of the legs. Take another big breath in. On your exhale, bring those heels all the way to the mat. We're going to do that 2 more times. Big breath in, rise up. Exhale your heels to the floor. 1 more time, big breath in, rise up. And exhale your heels down. When you're ready, you're going to begin to walk your hands backward on your mat toward your feet. So we're just working on keeping the hips steady as we do that. And then we're coming into our ragdoll at the back of the mat today. So feet a little bit wider than hip width apart. And you're just allowing the body to fold in half at the waist. The crown of the head to drop toward the floor. And then you can choose any arm variation you'd like here. The traditional option is to grab opposite elbows and sort of create a frame around your head using your arms. But you're more than welcome to choose any other option if you'd like. Go ahead and release your hands down to the mat if they're not there yet. We're just going to come into a little bit of a side body stretch. So you're going to begin to walk your hands over to the right side of the mat. You're bringing your right hand behind the right heel, left hand to the front of the right toes. You're going to drop the crown of your head so your gaze comes to the inside of the left knee. So if you had to take a bend in your knees to be able to get your hands all the way to the floor, just work on straightening them out a little bit at a time. Lift your head, come back through center. We're bringing our hands over to the left. Gaze to the inside of the right knee this time. Lift your head, walk your hands back to center. Take your time, heel toeing your feet together, and then you're going to rise up nice and slow. When you're in a standing position, you can sweep your hands overhead. We're going to come right into a side body stretch. So you're taking your left wrist in your right hand. We're leaning for the right side of the room. Big side body stretch. Come back to center. Switch your grip to the other wrist. Lean to the left. And come back to center. Allow your hands to separate. On your exhale, you're going to sweep all the way into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, just flattening your back like a tabletop. And then on your exhale, you're going to plant both hands in front of you. Keep the hips steady as you walk your hands back to the front of the mat. You're just going to find your plank, bringing the shoulders directly over the wrists, or tuck the butt under, and then nice and slow, I want you to lower down, elbows shoot straight back, and come all the way down onto your belly, relax the tops of your feet. You're going to press up into any back bend of your choice, so maybe you start easy today and work your way up to the more intense options. Whichever option you've chosen, I want you to really press through the palms of the hands, roll the shoulder blades down and back so that your shoulders aren't up by your ears. And then you're going to take your gaze back over that right shoulder, so back toward the right pinky toe. You feel a little bit of a compression on that right side. Come back to center. Again, reset your shoulders, pulling them down and back. And then take your gaze over the left shoulder. Come back to center, release yourself all the way down, curl your toes under, press up, and back into your downward dog. So we're going to work through a couple more sones to get our muscles nice and warm. From your downward dog, when you're ready, keep the hips steady, begin walking the hands back. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, down to heart center. Inhale, back to mountain. Exhale, sweep down. Inhale, halfway lift. On your exhale, plant both hands. Walk the hands back out to the front of the mat. Find your plank position. Nice and slow, lower down. Keep the elbows tight to the body. Back bend of your choice. And we'll meet back in downward dog when you're ready. From your downward dog, begin walking your hands back to your feet. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale to heart center. Inhale, back to mountain. Exhale, sweep down. Inhale, halfway lift. On your exhale, plant both hands, walk them back out to the front of your mat, work through your flow, and we'll meet back in downward dog when you're ready. From your downward dog, begin walking your hands back. Keep those hips steady. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale to heart center. Inhale, back to mountain. Exhale, sweep down. Inhale, halfway lift. On your exhale, plant both hands, walk them back out to the front of your mat. Work through your flow, we'll meet back in downward dog. From your downward dog, when you're ready, begin walking your hands back. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale to heart center. Inhale, back to mountain. Exhale, sweep down. Inhale, halfway lift. On your exhale, plant both hands, walk them back to the front of your mat. Work through your flow, we'll meet back in our downward dog. And then from your downward dog, when you're ready, you're going to be kicking your right foot back. Step that right foot up just in between your thumbs, so straight at the center. And you're going to leave your hands grounded here. So you're sort of coming into a low lunge, or like you're about to come out of some runner's blocks. You just got your hands lightly on the floor. You're pressing the left heel back, big stretch along the back of that left leg. Without pushing off with your hands, I want you to rise up. Find your tall crescent. So you still got that same deep bend in the right knee. It's just directly over the ankle. You're pressing the left heel back. Trying to straighten out that left leg as much as you can. I want you to sink a little bit deeper.
I'm going to challenge your balance a little bit today. I hope I don't go out of my screen. But we're going to be pressing off of that left foot, keeping the hands overhead and coming into the warrior three. So hands are still straight out in front of us. We're just balancing on that right foot. Hips are square to the floor. With control, I want you to release both hands and the crown of your head down toward the mat. So just coming into a standing split here. I still want you to keep your hips square to the floor. So naturally, a lot of times we want to open up that left leg as much as we can, and it means that we stack the left hip on top of the right. But I want you to keep the hips squared here. So don't worry about how high you lift that left leg. Just continue to drop the crown of your head. Left toes are pointing straight down. Go ahead and release your left foot down about a foot behind your right. So you're still in this forward fold position, all 10 toes facing forward. And then without pushing off with your hands, engage your core, rise up. And we're just gonna come into an intense pose. Don't be nervous because it's really not that intense. We're gonna stretch along the backs of both of our legs. So you're gonna be interlacing your fingers at your lower back and then sort of zip them down your back. So your shoulder blades squeeze together. Gaze up toward the ceiling. And then we're going to hinge forward at the waist. Your interlaced hands are going to drop over the back of your head, and your gaze, your nose, your forehead are going to drop into that right knee. So big stretch along the backs of both of your legs here. And stay in this forward fold position, but I want you to release your hands from the back of your head and bring them down onto the mat, one on either side of that right foot. And then you're going to step the left foot all the way back. So finding that low lunge exactly where we started. Press through the palms of your hands. You're kicking the right foot back. Keep it lifted here. And then you're going to come forward, find your plank. It's a 3-limbed plank. You've still got that right foot lifted. You're going to lower down halfway. Keep the elbows tight to the body. Press up. Lower down halfway. Come all the way through. Release that right foot down. Complete your flow. And we'll meet back in downward dog. From your downward dog, when you're ready, kick the left foot back. You're going to step your left foot up just between your thumbs. Sort of hang out in this low lunge position. You're driving the right heel back. Work to straighten the right leg. Without pressing off with your fingertips, you're going to rise up. Engage the core. Find your tall crescent. And come all the way into that left knee. Drive the right heel back. Pull the belly button in. We're kicking off of that right leg. Find your warrior three. So we're trying not to allow the shoulders to round here. You're pulling the shoulder blades down and back. Keeping the hips square to the floor. With control, release both hands and the crown of your head down toward the mat. Keeping the hips squared, find your standing split. So your right toes are still pointing down. And then with control, I want you to release your right foot down to the mat, about a foot behind the left. All 10 toes facing forward. And then you're going to engage your core nice and slow, rise up. Just take a moment in this standing position. When you're ready, interlace your fingers at your lower back. Zip them down. Give yourself a little bit of a back bend. And then when you're ready, hinge forward at the waist. Those interlaced fingers will drop over the back of your head. Taking your gaze or your forehead toward that left knee. Go ahead and release your hands down to the mat, one on either side of that left foot. And then step your right foot all the way back, find your low lunge. When you're ready, kick your left foot back. Keep it lifted. Find your three-limbed plank. Lower down halfway. Keep the elbows tight to the body. Push up. Lower down halfway. Hold it. Come all the way through. Release that left foot down. Complete your flow. We'll meet back in downward dog. So we're going to take a sunny to sort of clear the slate. If you need a little bit of a break, this is a good spot to take it. You could just drop down to your child's pose if you'd like. If you'd like to join me, when you're ready, begin walking your hands back. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale to heart center. Inhale, back to mountain. Exhale, sweep down. Inhale, halfway lift. On your exhale, plant both hands, walk them back out to the front of your mat. You can complete your flow. We'll lean back in downward dog when you're ready. From your downward dog, go ahead and kick your right foot back. Step your right foot through. Find your low lunge. Without pushing off with your hands, rise up. Tall crescent. So we're going to make that right leg work a little bit here before we come into our balancing pose. So you're going to sink as far as you can into that right leg. You might need to sort of inch your feet away from one another. And then go ahead and straighten out the right leg. And you're pressing the left heel toward the mat. Going to sink back in. Each time you sink back into this pose, try to come a little bit deeper. Straighten the right leg. Press the left heel down. Sink back in. One more time, straighten the right leg. Press the left heel to the mat. Sink back in. Hold it here. With control, kick off that left foot. Find your warrior three. Hips are still squared down to the mat. Hands out in front of you. Keep the shoulder blades pulled down and back. With control, release both hands and the crown of your head toward the mat. So I want you to challenge yourself a little bit here in your standing split. Try to maybe take one or both of your hands toward that right ankle. With control, release your left foot down, dropping it about a foot behind the right. Take your time rising up. When you're ready, interlace your fingers, zip them down your back. Give yourself that back bend first. And then you can hinge forward at the waist. Hands will drop over the back of your head. Big stretch through the back of your legs. Release both hands down, one to either side of that right foot. And then you're going to step your left foot all the way back. So coming all the way back to that low lunge. And press through the palms of your hands, kick the right foot back. Keep it lifted, shift forward, find your three-limbed plank. Lower down halfway. Press up. Lower down halfway. Press up. One more time, halfway. Come all the way through, release that right foot down. Complete your flow, and we'll meet back in downward dog. From your downward dog, when you're ready, kick your left foot back. Step it through, bringing it right between your thumbs. Without pushing off with your hands, rise up. And all the way into that left knee, you're bringing it directly over your ankle. Go ahead and straighten out the front leg. Press the right heel into the mat. Come back into that left knee. Do it again, straighten it out, press the right heel back. Come a little bit deeper into that left knee. Last one, straighten it out. Come a little bit deeper, hold it here. With control, kick off that right foot, standing, coming into standing on just the left leg. Into your warrior 3. Pull the shoulder blades down and back. With control, release both hands and the crown of your head, standing split. Challenge yourself to bring one or both of your hands to that left leg. With control, release your right foot down, drop it about a foot behind the left. Take your time rising up. Give yourself a moment here before interlacing your fingers at your lower back. Zip them down, give yourself a back bend. And then hinge forward at the waist. Interlace hands, drop over the back of your head, gaze to that left knee. Release your hands down to the mat, one on either side of that left foot, and then step your right foot all the way back. Finding your low lunge. Kick the left foot back, keep it lifted. Shift forward, 3-limbed plank. Lower down halfway. Push up. Halfway. Push up. Last one, halfway. Come all the way through. Release that left foot down, back bend of your choice. We'll move back in downward dog. We're going to take those sun A's to clear the slate. If you need a break, this is a good spot to take it. From your downward dog, when you're ready, begin walking your hands back. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale to heart center. Inhale, back to mountain. Exhale, sweep down. Inhale, halfway lift. On your exhale, plant both hands, walk them back to the front of your mat. Work through your flow. We'll meet back in downward dog. Taking just one more sun A all together. From your downward dog, when you're ready, begin walking your hands back. Keep those hips steady. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale to heart center. Inhale, back to mountain. Exhale, sweep down. Inhale, halfway lift. On your exhale, plant both hands, walk them back out to the front of your mat. Find your plank. You make you work a little bit before I move you to the mat. Lower down halfway. Push up. Halfway. Push up. Halfway. Push up. No shame in dropping to your knees. Stay with me. Halfway. Push up. Halfway. Woo. Push up. Last one. Halfway. Hold it. Come all the way through. Complete your flow. We'll meet back in downward dog. So then from your downward dog, when you're ready, you're just going to take your gaze forward toward your fingertips and then kick your legs through, come down onto your butt, and you're going to grab onto that strap right away. So we're going to stretch the calves and hamstrings. We're going to start on the right side. So you're just going to be coming into a stack pose or seated with your legs straight out in front of you. You are going to take your belt or your strap around the bottom of the right foot. And you're placing it as close to your toes as you can so that when you pull back on your strap, it's going to force your foot into a flexed position. That's how we'd like the foot to remain through the entirety of the pose. So once you've got that strap all set, you can go ahead and lay back. Keep that left leg extended out. You're going to bring the right foot directly overhead, keeping lots of tension on your strap and that right foot flexed. So you should feel that stretch along the entire back of the right leg. And if you have a slight bend in that right knee, that's okay, but we're working on straightening it out without sort of hyperextending the knee. I want you to add a little bit more tension to that strap, so we're bringing the leg a little bit closer toward the face. Still with the toes flexed at the top. Apply just a little bit more tension. And then you can release, draw yourself all the way back up into a seated position. We're going to do that same stretch on the left side. This one's a little bit harder on the hands because you've got to have that grip strength to hold onto the strap. If you have a yoga strap, like a traditional yoga strap, you can make it into one complete circle and then bring that strap around the back of your head. You just want to make sure that it's above your ears where you place it and not down at your neck, because we don't want that tugging on the neck. So if you have one, you can go ahead and do that on this side instead. When you're ready, go ahead and lay all the way back. You've got your left toes flexed toward your face, nice straight left leg. And then you can begin to apply that tension to your strap. Apply just a little bit more tension here. Pull a little bit harder on your strap. Continue to flex the left toes toward the face. And then one more time, pull just a little bit harder. Release the tension on that strap. Draw yourself all the way back up into a seated position. And we're going to take one more forward fold before we lay down onto the mat. So if you already know right away that you cannot reach your feet with a straight leg, you can continue to use your strap for this stretch as well. You're going to take the strap around the bottoms of both of the feet this time. And we're just coming straight into a forward fold. So keeping the legs straight, you're reaching for the feet or just walking your hands down that strap, whatever works for you. And you should have straight legs here, so you're feeling this tension along the backs of both of your legs, up through your glutes, and probably into your lower back as well. And you can just drop your forehead or your gaze down toward your knees. I want you to apply a little bit more tension on your strap. Bring yourself a little bit deeper into that forward fold. A little bit more tension. And then you can release your strap or release your feet. You're coming all the way up into a seated position. We're going to come into one more forward fold, but this one you're going to do butterfly legs. So we're focusing more on the hip opener than how deep we can get into the forward fold. So you're bringing the soles of your feet together, and then I want you to walk your butt up as close as you can to your heels before interlacing your fingers, taking them around the bottoms of your feet, and then you're using them as leverage to draw yourself into that forward fold. Again, I care less about the forward fold here, more about the hip opener. So you're very gently using your elbows to press your knees down from the floor. And I want you to keep the soles of your feet a little bit more active here. So instead of just resting them against one another. You're going to be pressing the soles of your feet together. Try to come back up into a seated position. You're going to leave your legs in your butterfly pose. Plant your hands behind you and just allow yourself to relax all the way back. So just coming into a reclined butterfly, you might be able to move your heels just a little bit closer to your body. And again, you're staying active through the soles of the feet, so pressing them into one another, driving those knees down a little bit closer to the floor than you might be able to otherwise. And begin to draw your knees back together. And then I want you to allow your feet to separate. So you're just bringing them over to the edges of the mat. And we're going to come into that 90-degree leg stretch. So you're going to be dropping both of your legs over to the left. So that right knee will just drop in behind the left. Should feel this stretch through the outside of the right hip, all the way down through your right knee. Then we're going to bring the legs back through center, drop them over to the right. We're going to do one more on each side. Bring the legs through center, drop them to the left. Bring the legs through center, drop them to the right. Bring your legs back to center, and then you're just going to extend them out nice and long. So we're coming into resting on our backs or any other pose that you can relax and close your eyes. Taking our last few minutes, just tuning back into that same deep breath from the beginning of our practice. So bringing those inhales all the way down into your belly. And then coming all the way to the bottom of the breath on the exhale. So you can begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. And when you're ready, take your legs out long, pointing your toes toward the front of the mat. You could reach your hands overhead. Give yourself one last big full body stretch. And then take your time rolling off to your side before pressing up into a seated position. And you're just going to allow your legs to cross, your eyes to close, your hands to come together at heart center. And we're going to close our practice with 3 big breaths together. So go ahead and take a big breath in. Let it out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in, sweep your thumbs to your third eye. Breathe out as you bow forward. Namaste. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. Thank you.